Welcome everybody to another episode of Technique Thursday. And this is also hopefully the second to last Seth update, Mr. Sensitivity. Seth, if you watch this video, you need to send me your address via private message because this will be ready to show off. In fact, I'll go ahead and start the episode with the update. This car, I wanted to do a couple things. I'm not going to do a hinge on the tailgate just because it takes away too much. But I know it doesn't look like I've done much since the last time we talked. But basically, I'm setting this car up where when you get it, you'll be able to take it apart and you'll be able to paint it the way you want. Now the only thing left to do is, you can see here I've started to make the cut to get rid of the B-pillar on both sides, and I'm just going to cut it slowly. The windshield is trimmed back, and I'm doing a custom lip on the underside here so that the window can rest. You can put it back together, and I'm doing the lip so the glue you won't have to fog the windows, so to speak. But I do have the cool bucket seats. I decided to go with the original right-hand steer, so I combined those two sets of cars, the seats from last week. If you'll see this, the end result for this interior will be one piece, so you'll be able to lift up the whole thing just like any other Hot Wheels. But I wanted to show you that the steering wheel piece is from the original Nissan or Datsun wagon, and I'm going to trim that up to make it a little bit nicer. And it sits atop the more detailed, nicer bucket seats from last week, and I got rid of the back and the sides, and I've got a couple spacers there. The coolest part here is the bed. It is one piece. I'll trim this up and do something nice to it. Probably throw in a sheet of vinyl that you can put over there and put that in. The motorcycle is mounted, and I know you're thinking like, well, how are you going to paint all this with all this in the way? Well, Seth, dadgummit, motorcycle comes off. I just did a little prick hole there. Put a metal rod in the base of the motorcycle, so when you're painting it, it'll be nice. It's really just a paper clip, one of the small gem clips. Straightened out, and it sits firmly, so no glue actually, so you can take it out and show it off. I don't know what I'm going to do with this gappage here, except that it has to work around that, so likely what I'll do is paint this a flat black, and these are just two spacers, styrene I guess rods, square rods that I put there to give it a little bit more lift in the back. And then this right here is the lift that I needed in the front. So it's just one piece across the top, and the backing is just a sheet of black styrene that I put there. So the end result is it sits there pretty flush, and the bucket seats will go in. I've got a set of walls here, so I'm not exactly sure what's going to be best, but I definitely have something to get rid of the sliding of the seats here, and then to make sure that when you put this in, everything will fit as natural as possible. Right now I've done dry fittings, everything looks great. So we're just going to strip it down, strip all the paint there, and ship it off, and let's see what you can do with it, buddy. So Technique Thursday, I wanted to talk about a couple cool things. Not every Hot Wheel can be a real rider, and there is a technique to where you can get a look of used tires. Now on the drag strip, you've got these dragsters. The only time a tire is shiny on the surface is when they're straight from the manufacturer. And if we look here at this model here, you can see how shiny the wheels are, and it's kind of nice. They're nice wheels and everything, but if you're doing customs to make them look like they're street ready, And I do this side by side. You can see these two. This is the new Corvette model, and I've just done this as a quick sample. You can see the two side by side. It has a kind of a satin look to it. Very simple technique that I use, and you just get a sanding block about this size, and all you do is you take the car right on top of it, and you just, in a circular motion, kind of rubbing your hands together and just do this. It takes about a minute at best, but already you can start to see some grit form. And it's just a really simple technique. It gets, I mean, this is just a few seconds. If we were to do it with another vehicle, I don't want to give too much away because this is the next vehicle for Mockery Monday. So let's see if I can hide a lot of the details on this. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. Anyways, just a neat little look. A sneak peek, there you go. And then finally, what I want to talk about as far as some more tools that I didn't get a chance to talk about last week. One, the sanding block is pretty good. It's a foam block, and it's got, you can get them with different grits. But for the tires, it's great because it gives you that surface, and you can just sort of let the car roll around. You don't have to put much pressure on it at all. The other technique that I want to show is Dremels. Everybody goes and gets a Dremel, but this model here in particular, the 7300, is fantastic. And the reason it's fantastic is because it has only two speeds, high and low. And the low speed is great because if you're wanting to do some controlled grinding, you won't find another Dremel that has a lower RPMs for the low gear than this particular model. It recharges. I've gotten more than my fair share of miles out of it. I don't know if you can tell from the sound of it. That's just a super slow grind. And if you're wanting to, now the high speed is pretty nice. It's a decent speed, but it's really, you only need two tools. And if you're just getting used to using Dremels on cars, this is the way to go. Definitely if you're wanting to get into cutting and grinding, some of these models here that you can get at Toys R Us, little fast lane cars. They're really cheap. They're not licensed designs, so they're kind of a one-off. But it's really thin metal, easy to cut, easy to trim. In fact, the next week's Technique Thursday, I'm going to show you how to do the spiderweb effect of having a cracked windshield. And I'm going to do it using one of these cars just to show you how much thinner and pliable this is. That's not to say it's, you know, well, yeah, they are crappy cars, never mind. But these cars here, they're super cheap, and if you just wanted to practice, you want to do the practice with the opening doors, try your hand at these. For the cuts, I want to tell you, I'm a fan of, you know, the coping saw and the single blade, and just slowly but surely, they make them with different serrated edges, finer teeth. The blade is flexible, so you can actually get in and do some, you know, finite cuts. So that's really all I want to touch base with you on. Seth, if you could, Mr. Sensitivity, if you guys, I'll try to send him a message as well, but I'll need your address so that I can ship this out. Again, this car is going to be designed for you to basically put it together the way you want. And I'm going to look forward to what you do with it. Again, all that's remaining now is to take off the paint, finalize the interior, do some minor grinding, and get rid of the B-pillars, strip it down, and send it off. I'll do one more update next week, Thursday, to show the ready-to-roll vehicle. The other thing I do want to touch base on, Seth, is I'm going to set it up, and maybe Technique Thursday as well as the cracked windows, I'll go over opening these crimps here so that you don't have to always use glue. You can have the natural play, and just pulling these back on plastic, it's nice, but on metal there's another technique, and you can actually get it to a point where the axle just pops right in. You have the same tension The same functionality as before. You don't have to put a daub of glue, and have the problems with the wheels being centered and whatnot. Anyways, happy cracking. This is another quality Pooch Man production, and Pooch, you're next.